Chapter 3. What doesn't move, accumulates. The true cause of excess weight is not quantity, but circulation. Introduction. The human body is a system of constant circulation. Everything that enters must be used, eliminated, or stored. If something can't be used and isn't eliminated, it stays. And when there's not enough movement, it accumulates. It's that simple. For years, excess weight was explained as the result of eating more than you burn. But that equation doesn't fully explain what really happens. Some people eat little and gain weight. Others eat a lot and don't gain a pound. The difference often lies in the kind of substances they consume and the real level of physical activity they maintain. It's not just about quantity, it's about quality and circulation. When the body moves, it burns, activates, and cleanses. When it stops, it preserves, stores, encapsulates. In a world where sedentarism is the norm and where the diet is based on ultra-processed products, accumulation is a logical consequence, not a metabolic mystery. And if there are two key substances in this process of modern accumulation, they are refined salt and refined sugar. Not because of their calorie content, but because of the effect they produce in the body. They are stimulants, not foods. They are not consumed out of biological need, but out of habit, impulse, or sensory dependency. And like any repeated stimulus, they deregulate the body and push people to eat more than necessary. Salt and sugar, the two great stimulants of weight gain. Neither refined salt nor refined sugar are essential foods. Yes, the body needs sodium and glucose, but not in the forms or quantities consumed today. Table salt is an industrial product. It has been stripped of its natural minerals and turned into pure sodium chloride, highly concentrated. The body needs sodium, but in very small amounts, which it easily gets from vegetables, meats, eggs, and natural water. When additional salt is added daily, the balance breaks. Excess sodium leads to fluid retention, high blood pressure, inflammation, and accumulation. It's not an innocent seasoning. It's an additive that alters the nervous system and distorts the real taste of food. What many people don't know is that salt also has an addictive effect. The saltier the food, the more appetizing it seems. And if you stop using salt for a few days, your palate starts to reset, becoming more sensitive. What once seemed tasteless begins to have real flavor. Taste buds, just like ears exposed to loud noise, go numb from excess and awaken through moderation. Also, salt is present in almost all processed foods: bread, deli meats, industrial cheeses, sauces, snacks, broths, ready meals. Most people consume salt without even adding it to their plate, just by eating products that have it hidden. That daily accumulation, teaspoon by teaspoon, becomes a chronic excess, which the body compensates for by retaining fluids. That retention isn't fat, but it does increase volume, weight, and internal pressure. And often, it's the first step toward inflammation. Refined sugar, on the other hand, is not only unnecessary, it is probably the most addictive stimulant in modern diets. 1 teaspoon doesn't satisfy. It creates a spike in the system, followed by a rapid crash. That cycle of highs and lows is what creates the constant need to repeat. It's not energy people seek, it's the effect. That's why even after eating, many feel they need something sweet. What they need is to stop the crash that the sugar itself caused. And it's not just about visible sugar. Today, sugar is hidden in hundreds of products not considered sweet. Breads, dressings, deli meats, cereals, yogurts, ready meals, even some products labeled as healthy or light. Sometimes it appears as glucose, corn syrup, maltodextrin, dextrose, fructose, or inverted sugar. All of that is sugar under different names. And all of it creates the same effect: a strong and brief stimulus that leaves the body deregulated. These two substances have something crucial in common: they don't nourish. They stimulate. And since the body doesn't need them in these quantities, much of what enters goes unused. It gets stored as fat, as retained fluid, as inflammation. And if there's not enough movement to eliminate the excess, it stays. There's another key point: salt and sugar are never consumed in isolation. They always come with processed products: snacks, baked goods, sodas, industrial cereals, dressings, packaged foods. All of it is designed to activate flavor, not to nourish. It's eaten on impulse, not from hunger. And once again, that impulse leads to excess. Another issue with sugar and salt is that they distort the perception of real flavor. A fresh fruit seems not sweet enough if the palate is used to industrial cake. A salad without dressing seems boring if every day it's eaten with store-bought sauces. This isn't accidental, it's taste reprogramming. And when the body is so used to the impact, it stops asking for what it truly needs and starts craving what stimulates it. Constant stimulation also causes wear. The nervous system, liver, pancreas, kidneys, and digestive tract work overtime trying to handle the constant load of glucose, sodium, and associated additives. That leads to low-grade inflammation, chronic fatigue, heavy digestion, and fat accumulation, especially around the abdomen. The body can handle a bit of everything, if there's enough activity to compensate. But if life is sedentary and food is full of stimulants, the balance breaks. What isn't used is stored. And what's stored without necessity becomes excess weight. It's also important to understand that it's not about eliminating sodium or glucose. It's about getting them from real sources that come with fiber, water, micronutrients, and biological structure: vegetables, fruits, tubers, meats, eggs. These foods provide what the body needs, gradually and in balance. They don't create spikes, don't provoke crashes, and don't distort the palate. They nourish without pushing. So the focus shouldn't just be on how much is eaten, but on what is eaten and how much the body moves afterward. It's not about punishment or discipline. It's about logic. The body is made to move. And when it doesn't, what should circulate becomes stagnant. And what stagnates gains weight. The body is a cleaning system. What it can use, it eliminates. What it can't, it stores. The body has a very efficient system to process what it needs and eliminate what it doesn't. It doesn't do this through willpower or preference. It does it by design. Everything that enters the body goes through a constant classification process. Does this help? Can it be transformed into useful energy? Can it be easily eliminated? Or is it a problem to solve? When a real food enters the body, fruit, vegetable, egg, meat, legume, seed, the digestive organs break it down, nutrients are absorbed, and the rest is eliminated with ease. The body recognizes the structure, has the tools to manage it, and completes the cycle without conflict. But when what enters is an artificial product, a sugary drink, ultra-processed snack, packaged bread, candy, or industrial sauce, the body can't find a clear path. There's no natural structure guiding it. There's no balance between what's consumed and what's needed. And that's where the problem begins. What can't be used can't always be eliminated. There are substances the body simply doesn't know how to process: chemicals, stabilizers, emulsifiers, colorants, flavor enhancers, altered fats. All of that has no function in the body. It doesn't help, it doesn't build, it doesn't repair. So the body tries to isolate it. If it can, it eliminates it, sometimes through urine, the liver, or the intestines. But if it can't, it stores it. It encapsulates it. It pushes it into areas where it will do the least harm. That could be fatty tissue, low-activity muscles, or spaces between organs. And there it remains, accumulated, unresolved waste. This isn't a mistake. It's an adaptive response. The body chooses to store rather than intoxicate. And that stored material is part of modern weight gain. It's not pure fat. It's a mix of fat, fluid, toxins, undigested substances, and waste the body couldn't get rid of. In other words, it's burden without function. The most concerning part is that this process can go unnoticed for years. One can accumulate waste without realizing it, because the body doesn't complain right away. But over time, that accumulation causes consequences: chronic inflammation, slow digestion, constant fatigue, resistant weight, intolerances, and general discomfort. And the less the body moves, the less capable it is of getting rid of it. Movement helps clean. When you walk, breathe deeply, sweat, activate circulation, the body finds exit routes. But if movement is scarce and the intake of useless substances is constant, there's no way out. The system becomes overloaded. That's why simply eating less isn't enough. Nor is doing a one-week diet. The starting point is to stop consuming what the body can't use, and start moving to eliminate what's already stored. It's a progressive but concrete process. Every day without adding more garbage is a day in favor of cleansing. The body has extraordinary healing power. But it needs collaboration. It can't clean what keeps coming in. It can't move on its own. And it can't choose for you. What it can use, it transforms. What it can't, it stores. And if what it stores builds up for years, what appears isn't an aesthetic issue. It's a system full of things it never asked for. Recovering the body. Stop feeding the storage, start feeding the system. When the body starts to accumulate, it doesn't do it out of weakness or failure. It does it because it's receiving things it can't process and has no other choice. Accumulation is an emergency response, not a flaw. The body keeps functioning, but under strain. And over time, that strain becomes obvious. The good news is that this process is reversible. The body doesn't need magic, extreme solutions, or expensive treatments. It just needs the problem to stop being fed, and the solution to start being nourished. That starts with a shift in logic: stop eating to fill, and start eating to nourish. Every time you choose real food over an industrial product, you take a step in that direction. Every time you move your body, even just a bit more than usual, you create circulation. And every time you break an automatic consumption routine, you interrupt the cycle of accumulation. Modern excess weight isn't just about calories, as we've already seen. It's the result of useless substances entering the body for years without a filter. Often, it's as simple as stopping the flow. Giving the body a break from the constant load. Choosing things the body understands, things it can use, things that don't force it to store. It's not about obsession. There's no need to live under restrictions or take eating to extremes. The body can handle small exceptions if the foundation is strong. What matters isn't perfection, it's direction. If you start moving in the right direction, the body responds. To make that happen, here are 3 simple but powerful decisions. 1. Eliminate the unnecessary. Reduce or eliminate refined salt, sugar, packaged products, sugary drinks, industrial baked goods, snacks, and artificial condiments. These aren't food, they're guaranteed storage. 2. Move the body. You don't need to run marathons. Walk, move with intention, climb stairs, stretch, breathe. The key is not to be still all day. Movement is cleansing. 3. Eat what the body can use. Vegetables, fruits, real proteins, good fats, whole grains, water. Real food, with no flashy labels, no unnecessary additives. Food that builds, not burdens. These 3 steps activate a natural process. The body begins to release what it no longer needs. It does it when it feels safe, when it stops receiving trash, when it moves and cleanses. It doesn't do it out of wool, it does it because it can. And that moment marks a deep shift. The body is no longer a storage site for what doesn't serve. It becomes a functional, regulated, clear system again. A body that doesn't have to fight to stay balanced. This isn't an instant process, but it's real. It doesn't depend on products or external plans. It depends on understanding how the body works and choosing to cooperate instead of sabotaging it unknowingly. When you stop feeding the storage, the body stops expanding uncontrollably. When you give it real food and movement, it regains form, rhythm, and clarity. It's not a promise. It's a logical consequence. And it begins with one decision: to stop adding what the body never asked for.